Hi guys, my name is Will. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to start this channel really just to document my weight loss journey after having the gastric sleeve surgery done in Mexico. Um, I decided to get the gastric sleeve after a lot of thinking about where I wanted to be, where I wanted to go with my life. I have been struggling with weight loss issues for um, pretty much over half my life. I've tried every sort of diet that there is. I've been vegetarian, I've been vegan, I've done keto, I've done intermittent fasting, I've done OMAD, and what else? I've done Weight Watchers. All of those things have been great. I've lost weight on all those things, but long term, I tend to fail on those things and then end up putting back the weight that I was able to take off during that process. So, in the time that I've been struggling with my weight, my health has gotten worse. I struggle with a lot of issues, but my biggest issue being my blood pressure. That is a big one, obviously, and it's been steadily going up over the years. It's been hard to control. I'm on right now 3 pills to try and control it, and it's doing reasonably well. But I didn't want to continue that lifestyle. I definitely want to be healthier, and I want to be off medication and not have to worry about my blood pressure, so that I can live a longer life. Currently, I am married to an incredible, supportive, beautiful wife that we've been married for going on 16 years will be this year, and we have a 2-year-old daughter, and those two blessings in my life, I want to be around for as long as I possibly can to enjoy all the every moment, to enjoy all the milestones that are soon to come and to come much further down the road. I want to be able to be here to enjoy all of that. So, it came to I came to a decision that for me to have surgery would be maybe the best thing to do. I know it's not a cure-all, but it's a powerful tool that will help me lose the weight in a more long-term, keep it off more long term than what I've had in the past. So I realize it's going to be a lot of mental that I have to overcome as well. But a gastric sleeve surgery is going to be a very powerful tool in my arsenal for fighting weight loss, or fighting weight, I should say, and taking on weight loss. So once I decided that I wanted to have that surgery done, I started doing a lot of research on where I could go to get that surgery. Where I ended up going was Mexico, like I said. But that wasn't just a quick decision. It wasn't anything that I never considered anything else. So to give you kind of a background, I have a full-time job. I have full health benefits through the company I work for. The issue is that the health insurance that I have doesn't cover anything related to bariatric surgery, not even lap band, which for most people in the States, they at least have at minimum a lap band coverage, but I have nothing. So everything that I was going to, if I was going to have surgery, which I was determined to do at that point, I had to pay out of pocket. So the next thing to do would be to find a place that I was comfortable going to that I could afford. The other part of that being is that in America, healthcare, when you're paying out of pocket, is incredibly expensive. It is very hard to find something that you can afford in the States. And excuse me, did a lot of research, and of the places that I was in love with that I really would love to have gone to have surgery, the problem was that it was too expensive for me to afford. So to give you an idea, the cheapest that I could find of places that I was comfortable going to here in the state of Florida, where I am, the cheapest was somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000, which in comparison to other places is much cheaper, but still too much for me to be able to afford, to be able to take charge of my life and not have to save for a few years. So the next step was to look elsewhere. Mexico, the place that I ended up going was Mexicali Bariatric Center, which was an amazing facility, amazing staff there. I ended up having the gastric sleeve done there for $6,000. So $6,000, it's basically half of the cheapest I could find in the States. So that's where I ended up. It's certainly not the cheapest place in Mexico, but it's the cheapest place of places that I was comfortable going to, and had well-respected doctors that, you got to do your research. You don't want to just jump in and say, let anybody do it for any cost. This is an important decision, and it is a life-changing decision, so you want to make sure that you're making the right decision. But anyway, that's where I ended up and that's why I ended up in Mexico, and that's why I ended up at Mexicali Bariatric Center, or MBC. So, just to kind of give you an idea, when you are going for your surgery, you fly into San Diego. They have a driver, Ernesto, that picks you up at the airport there at San Diego. And Ernesto is a really sweet guy. He's a real kind of a quiet guy, but he's a great guy, and he is also a sleever. He had gastric sleeve done 9 years ago. So on the ride in to Mexicali from San Diego, I did have the chance to discuss that with him, and got to see his before pictures and kind of discuss with him, what's it like now that you've had the sleeve, and was it hard to adjust your eating habits and how you eat, and I got to talk to him about that. So it was nice to be able to have that reassurance going into Mexicali, going to do the thing that you're going to do, and knowing that you're on the right track. That extra reassurance is really nice. So I love Ernesto, and love that he loves doing what he's doing. So the ride into Mexicali is about an hour and a half ride. Once you get to Mexicali, you go straight to the hospital. Hospital that they work out of is Almeida, or I believe more or less Almater, but Almeida Hospital. And you go there first. You go there to do your pre-op, basically. I met with Rosello, who's the coordinator with MBC. She's really nice, but she gets you organized, gets you ready, she keeps you on track. You go there, you got to do your blood work, do a chest x-ray, or upper GI x-ray, I believe is what it's called, and EKG. I will say the EKG machine there is not like what we're used to here in the States. Looked a little bit old school, but I mean, obviously, it did what it was supposed to do. It did its job well, but it was a little intimidating at first, because it was not what we were used to seeing. My wife and I have, with me in the hospital, family in the hospital, we've been around an EKG a time or two, so it was a little it threw us off to see that particular machine. But anyway, once you get all that done, I met with Yolanda, who reviews the paperwork with you, and talks about what basically your instructions, what to do the night before, which is that day, what you can do, what you can't do, and then kind of briefly goes over what's going to happen the following day. And then that's it. It's pretty quick. You weren't there a whole lot of time. And then Ernesto takes you to the hotel. Hotel that we stayed at is Hotel Lucerna. They normally put you up in a room there. NBC does put you in a room for the night before, because after that you're going to be staying in the hospital. So for the first night they put you up at the hotel. I myself ended up booking a bungalow there, because I brought an entire entourage with me. Normally you just bring one person if you bring anybody, but they were okay with me bringing an entourage, which was my wife, my daughter, and then we brought my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law. Long story short, my wife and I are big proponents of attachment parenting, so we wanted to make sure that we were bringing her with us and not separating the three of us. And because taking care of me once I've had surgery and taking care of our daughter is definitely too much to put on my wife, we asked for assistance. So having the extra hands from my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, that's where they came into play, and they were incredibly helpful for that. So that's why we got the bungalow. The hotel is really nice. It's a great place. The staff there is really helpful, very attentive. There are 3 restaurants on site, so you don't have to go very far to get something to eat or to have a variety of things to eat. I only ate at one of the places for my last meal, which was kind of like a bar restaurant situation, but they also have like 3 total. They have 3 restaurants there. My family, however, tried all of them while I was in the hospital. So I didn't try them, but they did, and they said that everything that they had at every restaurant was incredible. I think everybody enjoyed. There was an Italian restaurant, and that's what they enjoyed the most, I think. But that's the Lucerna. You stay there the night, and then Ernesto picks you up in the morning and drives you back to Almeida Hospital for surgery day. So, excuse me, getting over a cold. So if I cough or take for a second, I apologize. But anyway, so you get to the hospital, you check in. You meet with the anesthesiologist, the internalist, and the surgeon. My surgeon, Dr. Willamy, fantastic surgeon, and just really great bedside manner. He's funny and attentive, and obviously, he's receptive to concerns, not just from you but from your family, which has been great. The expected time frame for going in, I was expected to be in surgery for about 50 minutes, and then recovery for about 2 hours before I would be brought to the room. So, roughly 3 hours was what they were expecting before I would be brought back and my wife would be able to see me. Surgery went well. I didn't have any issues there. One of the things that they do when they're having surgery, which is great, is they kind of take a look at what else is around there, and they make notes of any findings that they might have that maybe you should get looked at. They won't do any work on it unless it's something that prevents a successful surgery, or if it's life-threatening at that moment, something like that, then they would take care of it probably. But if they find anything else while they're in there, then they note it and let you know. Thankfully, they didn't find anything for me, but it's nice that they were looking out. Once the surgery was over and I was in the recovery period, surgeon Dr. Willamy did check in with my wife and family, let them know that everything went well, that I was in recovery, and just giving them the general updates on what was going on, which was nice. My wife did say overall I was in recovery a little longer, so from start to finish we were separated for about 4 hours before I was brought back to the room and she could see me. So it was a little longer than expected, but everything still went smoothly. I was knocked out, so I don't remember any of that, obviously, and I don't remember even waking up in the room, but I just remember that I was in the room at some point as far back as my memories can go. So anesthesia was still wearing off, obviously, when I was waking up in the room. But the room there is it's really nice. It's a nice size, comfortable room, incredibly clean. The staff there, the cleaning crew of the hospital takes great pride in making sure that everything is clean and well taken care of at the hospital, which is certainly appreciated. the once you get in the room, you kind of come to the first thing that they want you to do before you can start consuming liquids is they need to start start checking for leaks. And so you have a drain that comes out of your stomach into a pouch that collects fluids that are draining from the surgery site. And so you have that. In the first test that they do is a blue dye test, and you have to drink this cup of this liquid with a really potent, like a cobalt blue dye, and it is incredibly disgusting. So it's awful. It's hard to drink that stuff for sure. It's hard enough just drinking anything at that point, but to drink something that tastes that awful is even harder. But you drink that, and then they wait, and they basically check your pouch. And if there's any blue dye in the pouch, then they know they've got a leak. I didn't have a leak, thank God, but that's how they do the initial testing. So if everything looks good there, they don't have any blue dye, then they know you can start liquids. Yay, liquids, you can start drinking. That's a good thing. So in the beginning, you get hot tea, which is nice. So it's nice and soothing. At least it was for me. When you don't feel good right after surgery, stuff like that, nice warm tea really kind of helps you feel better a little bit. So you get warm tea, you get juice, Gatorade, vitamin water, that kind of stuff, and you sip and sip and sip and sip and sip, and you just keep sipping. Your goal is to consume all the liquids. You definitely want to sip. If they don't stress that enough, I'm stressing it for you. Sip is important. Here's the thing. I've been a big guy my entire life. Obviously, I've been a gulper my entire life, and it is really hard for me sometimes to remember to sip when I'm not thinking about it. I'm not actively thinking about what I'm doing when I take a drink. And so there have been a few times, and it started in the hospital, that I did accidentally gulp what I was drinking, and boy, does that not feel good. You do not want to gulp. It is a painful thing. And I imagine it's only going to be like that if you eat the wrong thing or something that your stomach's not ready for. It's probably going to feel like that too. So anyway, it's painful. So remember to sip. But you sip. And one of the other things, since we're talking about make sure you walk, because you're going to be fresh out of surgery. You're going to have a lot of gas that they put into you to kind of expand the area. You're going to have that, and pushes the natural gas within your body, and that's going to be pretty painful. You want to get that moving. You want to get that circulating. You want to get it out. So walking is a very important thing. Make sure you get up as soon as you can, and as soon as you're able to move around freely, start walking. They let you walk the halls, and walk. Get that out. Get that moving. It's not just for getting the gas out, the walking, it's also important to help prevent blood clots, but you definitely want to do that. So my main advice, because I did not do that as much as I should have, and I regretted it. So make sure you do that. Get walking. But so you're in that room in recovery after your surgery. You're in there for about 3 days, roughly 3 days, and that's kind of it for your first day. The next day, you go for a high contrast X-ray, and that is like a barium test. I don't know if you've ever had that before, but you basically drink a barium liquid, and then the X-ray can see that liquid going through your body. Another disgusting drink, but at least you don't have to drink very much of it. But they take you they stand up in front of you stand in front of an X-ray machine, you drink the barium, and you get to see your baby sleeve. That's the first time you get to actually see your brand new stomach, and that is the cutest little baby sleeve you've ever seen. So it's kind of exciting, you get to see that. The purpose of that is, again, rechecking for leaks, making sure that now, second day in after surgery, still nothing's going on. You've already been consuming liquids, nothing's coming out, and that was successful. So once that is passes and everything's great. Then the next thing that happens from that is the drain comes out, and I will say that that was a little scary for me. I didn't know what to expect. You know, you have this thing hanging out of your stomach. I don't know what's tied to the other end of it. I can't see, obviously. I don't know how it's in there. The pouch itself is stuck to your skin, so that's why it doesn't fall or anything like that. But so I was concerned. The main doctor that checks in with you constantly after surgery, or who was checking in with me, is Dr. Campos, and Dr. Campos is an amazing, super friendly, super nice, very attentive to everybody, funny guy. He's really actually pretty funny. And he's also a sleever, which is awesome because, 9 years ago he had the same thing. So he's not just a doctor that is knowledgeable about bariatric surgery and the things that you should be doing. He is a doctor that's been through what you're going through. So he knows firsthand what it feels like to be on the other side, not necessarily just to be the doctor, which is great. And I got it. I was like, okay, so I don't know how I feel about having this drain taken out. Should I take some pain medicine? Because at that point I wasn't really pushing for pain meds. I didn't feel like I was in a lot of pain, so I didn't feel the need to have more pain medicine. So I was only taking it when I thought it was absolutely necessary. And so I asked him, should I take some pain medicine? And he said, no, don't worry. It's a simple process. Really all we're going to do is we're going to have you lay down. I'm going to tie a string to the pouch, to your drain, and then I'm going to tie the other end of the string to the door, and we're just going to slam the door and it'll yank it out. So that's kind of a sense of humor he has. It's not at all what they did, but just give you an idea of Dr. Campos's sense of humor. It's is what he's like. So really what they did is lay down in bed, close my eyes, take a deep breath, and then that was it. They were done. It didn't feel anything. And I said, okay, it's gone. And they threw it away, and that was the end of it. My wife did watch it, then pull it out, and apparently the drain is pretty long, and a good comparison would be kind of like watching the never-ending handkerchief gag from a magician. So I don't know how long it was specifically, but apparently that's what it was like to see it coming out of my stomach. But yeah, they pull that out, and now you have a hole in your stomach. They patch that up, and that's healing. Right now, I still have that hole, but it's not draining anymore. It's almost completely healed at this point. So you just basically wash it with soap and water and rebandage it every day, and it heals, which is pretty nice. But once they pull out the drain, then the next thing is you get chicken broth. And I will say right here that the chicken broth at Almeida's Hospital is delicious. It is so good. And, you think, oh, it's probably just because he hasn't had anything in a while. But no, I'm talking about, it is super tasty. So I looked forward to them bringing it to me all the time. So, people in Mexico, they know how to make some food. And I'm not saying that chicken broth is a Mexican delicacy, but they know how to make some chicken broth. Anyway, you get that, you get your fluids, and you get to, keep consuming stuff, but now you have something more tasty and closer to food. That night, I will say, it's a thing that I never heard about when I was doing the research and getting prepared for surgery. There was nothing I never heard about, but it was incredibly scary. That night, second night, I had the most intense hunger pains. They were awful, and I've never had a hunger pain that intense in my life. And like I said, I've done fasting, intermittent fasting, OMAD. I'm used to being hungry and going through hunger pains, but that was rough, and it was to the point that I was actually vomiting because I was so hungry. So I got incredibly discouraged by that because, you hear the initial part of surgery, you're going to have a complete loss of appetite. So here I am starving, and I don't understand what's going on. I started panicking, thinking I did the wrong thing. This isn't going to work. I'm immediately going to fail. I made the wrong decision. Uh, that was a pretty rough moment for me. Thankfully, Dr. Campos came in that night to check in me. He checks in with you frequently, and I talked to him. I said, "Hey, I'm having these intense hunger pains. What is going on?" And he said, "Oh, no, don't worry about that. That's actually normal. Really, that's mostly just your stomach getting used to the staple line." And it kind of put me at ease, knowing that, okay, that's kind of an expected thing. I don't know why I never ever talked about that before, or at least I had never heard about it. But it was nice to know, okay, so it's not, it's normal. And once that went away, I haven't had any hunger pains that have been that intense. I've had some hunger pains, but nothing that is easy to just ignore. That's not easy to ignore, I should say. That particular night though was the roughest for sure. So if you get that, no, it's okay. You'll get past it, and you'll feel better afterwards. So I mean that's pretty much it. The next day in the morning you go home. So I will say the hospital there is incredibly friendly. The staff at Almeida Hospital and the staff at NBC working together, they are very professional, very attentive, and they actually really are great with bedside manner and taking care of your concerns. The biggest thing a big comparison that I have between staying at a hospital in the States compared to staying at this particular, at least at Almeida. I can't speak to all hospitals in Mexico, but I've been to lots of hospitals in the States. And one of the big things that you have when you're in the States is you don't know when the doctor's going to check in. So you're scared when you have a loved one in the hospital and that something serious is happening. You want to make sure that you're there to talk to the doctor and to know what's going on and get the updates, and you don't know when that's going to happen. And it happens at seemingly random times. It doesn't happen very often sometimes. And so you end up just kind of staying put in the waiting room or in the room, and you don't want to go anywhere because you don't want to miss anything. In contrast to how everything was at Almeida, the staff checked in with my family constantly, let them know what was going on. They checked in with me constantly. Dr. Campos was in several times a day to check on me every day to see how things were going. If he wasn't checking in, a coordinator, Rosella, was checking in. And, she, if you had any questions, she can get them answered for you. She can talk to the doctors, nurses, whatever. She's checking in with you constantly. The nurses are checking in with you constantly. And everything was, handled so well. It's not that they are just necessarily there to attend to your situation while you're in the hospital. They're there to take care of your concerns. They're also attentive to your family and your family's concerns. So everybody in my entourage was really at ease, knowing because they were comfortable. They could come and go, and at any point they still knew what was happening. You're much more updated there than any of the experiences that we've ever had in the past, the hospitals in the States. So I wanted to point that out. It's a lot of people are they're concerned about, should I go to Mexico and am I going to get proper health care in Mexico? And I cannot speak better to the health care that I received in Mexico. The surgical team was, if not on par, they were, better than experience that I've had in the States, in the recovery team. Everybody was really stellar. So if you have any concerns about healthcare in Mexico, you shouldn't. As long as you're in the right facility, you just got to do your research. But NBC, Almeida Hospital, cannot give them higher praises. And while I'm talking about decisions in Mexico, I'll also say that, it's safe. Like I said, I brought my daughter there, and I had no concerns about my daughter and my wife being in Mexicali by themselves without me. I didn't have any concerns because really Mexicali is no different than anywhere else. And as long as you are smart, keep your eyes open, and you know what's going on, you're aware of it, and you're not naive, you can pretty much get anywhere. And there wasn't really any immediate dangers or anything like that in Mexicali. I'm just saying you shouldn't treat it any different. Like, it would be no different than if we were going to just another city in the States, or another country, like Denmark, something like that. You go somewhere, you don't know the surroundings, you just be cautious and you're going to be fine. And that's what we were. We were in Mexicali, and I didn't have any problems. You know, it's one of those immediate misconceptions I think about Mexico is that it's a lot of crime and it's not safe, and we didn't have any problems there. So I just want to make sure that that's known. That's it. Once you check out, Ernesto picks you up at the hospital again and drives you back to San Diego to fly home. Make sure you bring your compression socks. Compression socks are important. You're getting ready to go back on another hour-and-a-half drive, and then however long your flight is. For me, flight is between 4 and 5 hours home. It was a direct flight from San Diego to Tampa, Florida. So that's a lot of sitting, and after surgery, you know, that's a big risk of blood clots. That's why you need your compression socks. Do not forget your compression socks. I feel bad for my wife who had to put those on, because after surgery, it's really hard to put on your own compression socks when you have fat calves like I do. So, you know, she likes to say it was like trying to put a dress on a pig, and I believe every bit of that, because it was not easy for me to put the compression socks on when I was trying them on before we left home. So I know it was difficult for her, but, you know, God bless her, she got them on, and I was able to wear them all the way home. And that's it. So just to give you kind of a breakdown, weight-wise, where I'm at now. Before I started my pre-op diet, I was at 360, and pre-op diet was 2 weeks of high protein, low carb, unrestricted calorie diet, and during that 2 weeks I lost 9 pounds. I went in on surgery day, I was at 351 pounds. Right now I am on 11 days post-op, and of this morning I'm at 333 pounds. So that's a loss of, since surgery, I've lost 18 pounds. So I'm at, 27 pounds that I'm down since the start of this process. So so far it's been great. I just 11th day, so this is my first day on whole liquids. I am thankful for that. But the first 10 days was just clear liquids, so I was a little ready to move on by last night. So I'm glad that I'm on to the next stage. But everything so far has been great, and I've had no issues, no complications. Everything's healing nice. The sutures are super itchy, but you know, that's just a sign that they're healing. So I'm fine with that. No infections, anything like that to be worried about. And that's it. So I'm sorry this video, I'm sure, is pretty long. It was a lot to talk about, and there's a long process that I wanted to talk about and make sure that I had some information out there for you guys. But if you have any questions or anything you feel I didn't answer, you have any other additional questions about Mexico, Mexicali Bariatric Center, gastric sleeve surgery, anything like that, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer anything that you have. I'm going to go ahead and link Mexicali Bariatric Center MBC in the links in the description below, and a link to their YouTube channel. They have a lot of videos on there too. Get to see Dr. Campos doing a lot of videos on there as well. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to know what's going on the rest of my journey, keep watching, and I will see you later. Thanks. Bye, guys.